Could you use a quick tip daily? How about a tip that can impact your day? My name is Raphael. Join me as I bring you tips by experts around the world. These experts have shared their knowledge and wisdom with me and will directly share them with you. Make sure to subscribe, like, follow, and comment, and I would love for you to become part of the New Tip Daily community. Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. I have my good friend Jeremy Doran. He will be able to log in with us. He does have an amazing tip. Oh, I just see him. He just came on. I'm going to bring him on and have him join us.
Good
Jeremy,
morning.
thanks so much for being here, buddy.
Thank you.
All right. So today's tip is on communication. Love it.
Yeah, and I will tell you one thing about communication is be careful with technology and don't assume it's going to work first right off the bat.
That's for sure. Yes,
So,
yes.
only had a couple of troubles, but got through them all, so now we're here.
Exactly, exactly. When we think about communication, it's daily, isn't it?
It's more than daily, it's constant.
Yes. We communicate by our actions as well, not just our verbal, right?
Yeah, and that's what I was going to talk today about is about choosing your medium for communication.
Mm,
People email often, and sometimes that's great, and sometimes it can be a recipe for disaster.
mm, totally, absolutely. So let's go ahead and hear that amazing tip that you have for us.
Well, like I said, text is so fast and efficient. And if all you want to do is share one data point, it's fantastic. If you know you're meeting someone for dinner, you know the location, but you don't know how bad traffic's going to be, and you just text ETA 5:30, that's great. There's
Mm,
It's a great way to do it, fast and efficient.
right? Yeah.
Um, But if you need to get more information than that out, then email can be a great way because you can list much more information as long as it's not nuanced. I've seen plenty of email threads that start, and once you start seeing back and forth, it's a good indicator that email is not the right way to do it. Sometimes it's better than a phone call because all the data that you write is recorded, it's written in the email. But when there's nuance, pick up the phone.
Yeah.
And people try to do email because it seems like it's faster and more efficient. But once you start going back and forth and you can see misunderstandings, then there's a problem.
There is, there is. So many people, instead of picking up the phone and just like hashing things out, right? They try to hash it out in email. And a lot of times people are like, well, did you not did you not read the email? So
Right?
many times I send an email and I still get people who either show up at the wrong time
Yep.
or because that they miscommunicated in their head what the message was, right? So it's interpreting the message too, right? Isn't that part of communication?
Well, let's see
Let's
which
do
one
it.
works. Are you able to read this sentence out loud for me?
Let me see. I didn't say you stole my money.
So it's 7 simple words. And when you send that in, it be misinterpreted, right?
Mm.
However, with a different tone of voice in their head, and they might be stressing different words than you. So when if instead of else is saying you stole my money, or I didn't say you stole my money, but it might have been my time or something other than my money. So there's 7 stress.
Mm.
So when you're using different words than you intended.
Yeah, yeah. So how easy is it for people to think that that is the best way? Also, one of the things that I consider with email, I, I, I I triple communicate sometimes. What I mean by that is I'll send an email and then I'll send a text message saying, "Hey, I just sent you an email. Please take a look." Because a
Hmm.
lot of times people, like even myself, I'm so busy doing so many different things. Sometimes I don't get to go to my email for 8 hours, 10 hours. And then I look at it and it's all these people who wanted my attention. And I'm like, should have picked up the phone or should have texted me. Because one of the great things about a text is you can see it right away, right? Maybe you're in a meeting, you can't pick up the phone, but you can quickly glance at your phone, right?
Yep. Yeah, that's one problem with email is people just assume you're going to respond to it right away.
Right.
And yeah, it can go sideways.
Yeah. About communication. When my son was a teenager, he's 21 now. He's about to be 22 next month. His girlfriend didn't come to dinner with us. I took him and my other son out to dinner. He could not put his telephone down.
Hmm.
He was texting and texting, and I'm like, buddy, we're at dinner. We're here to get to know, what's going on with your week, what's going on at school. I said, but leave your phone on the table.
Hmm.
Oh my God, he got so annoyed.
I
I'm
bet he
like,
did.
why do you need your phone in the bathroom? So obviously he wanted to have that communication with his girlfriend, and his communication was more important to have it
Right.
because,
And
and
that,
I said, you should have invited her. I said, she could have joined us. Oh, she couldn't be here. Like, well, you did not communicate well with her, letting her know because I'm going to be at dinner with my dad and my brother, right? So it's the intention was good on his part. He said, yes, I'll go to dinner, but his state of mind was somewhere else.
it's so hard these days to just put it down.
Mm,
And the the communication that it's giving, if I'm sitting down with you and you keep looking at your phone, you are clearly communicating to me that something else is more important.
right.
So often communication is not what you're saying, and even sometimes it's not the words, sometimes it's not even the tone of voice, sometimes it's, body language, and
Mhm.
different studies say different things, but it's anywhere between 10 to 30% of the message people receive is your words, but not much more than that.
That's right. It's very interesting. I had someone tell me when I go to dinner or I'm sitting with someone, I usually keep my phone in my back pocket, but I don't want to sit on my phone. So I
Hmm.
put it on the table and I face it down. And somebody said to me, just by the fact that your phone is on the table gives a message that that is going to be more important. If it dings, it rings, or any sounds come out of it, because you're going to have 1,000 sounds anyway, right? So it's learning how to, like right now, my phone is on my desk, but it is turned off right there. You can see it's on do not disturb mode
Yep.
because our conversation is very important to me, right? Getting the message and being in the moment is important. But so I said, huh. They said to me that if my phone is on the table, even though I have it on do not disturb. So I said, okay, I got to figure out where to put my phone so it's not rude to the person I'm sitting with. So now it made me have a conscious effort to say, yeah, I don't want to put my phone. Oh, I know. I'll put it maybe on my coat pocket, or I'll put it, underneath my leg or something, so I'm not sitting on it, right? So it's that intention of where's my communication going, and is it important for me even to have that? Let's even talk about eye contact
Hmm.
with communication, right?
And sometimes just addressing the concern up front
Mm,
is okay. So sometimes I'll have my phone because there will be something that if one person calls me, I need to pick it up,
right.
because I know that they're potentially having an emergency. And I'll just let people know ahead of time. Say, look, if I take a call, it's because my daughter is stranded and needs my help.
Mm,
Or, you could just say, I don't like to sit on my phone. The vibrator and the ringer are off. It's face down. I'm just putting it here so that I don't break it, just so you know.
mm, mm.
And once you communicate that, That actually communicates more than not even putting it on the table. It lets you know that you're conscious and aware of what it looks like.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so let's go ahead and talk about the eye contact and certain, I guess, when it comes to customs or different countries, even, right? Certain contact is is okay. Listen, if we're Italian, we're gonna come and two men are gonna kiss each other's cheek, and hey, how you doing? You know, but in other cultures, that's like, what are you doing? And then some other cultures, bowing is the right way to approach somebody. And other ones is absolutely no physical contact. So it's all different ways of communicating. And maybe even if you're going to a different country, maybe to look that up, right? To understand where you are, right?
And pay very close attention. So,
Yeah.
my ex wife was born in another country,
Mm.
and they all would hug and kiss to say hello almost always. But there are some people that I couldn't even physically touch. And
Mm.
so I had to be very careful about watching and observing what other people are doing. And, when in doubt, just kind of stay back. But
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm a hugger. What can I say?
yeah,
I come with my heart open, and I'm that kind of person. And you're
so,
right. So now COVID definitely brought some of that back. So
yeah.
now I fist bump more. But it's very interesting when I see somebody and my affection for them is very strong. It doesn't matter if they're male or female. I'm gonna say, hey, how you doing? The other day I ran into one of my trainers at the gym, and I was like, she works for me, and I said, oh my gosh, I didn't know you came here. And as soon as we saw each other, we just hugged, right? And but someone else that they might have been like, oh no, they might have pulled back, and with a little fist bump kind of says that. And being that I teach Chinese martial arts, a lot of the times just a bow is enough, right? Or
Hmm.
even just a head nod, like, how you doing?
Yeah.
Right?
Acknowledged. I
Acknowledged,
acknowledge that
acknowledged.
I see you and recognize you.
So I definitely want to touch upon eye contact, right? Because averting the eyes also can give a message,
Hmm.
right? Can you tap on that?
This isn't exactly where you're going with it, but one study shows a reason why Zoom and video conferencing tires people out so much
Mm,
is because they have to have constant eye contact, or
mm,
it's much more noticeable than in real life.
right,
So eye contact shows a lot, but it can be tiring also.
right.
Um, but yeah, you a lot of times when you are trying to gauge someone's sincerity, the amount of eye contact is how you judge it.
Yeah. Well, I totally get that with Zoom or any web conferencing or virtual, because they want to make sure that like they're sleeping, right? But in person, one of the things when I teach a lot of young kids, right? I teach them that if you want someone to take you seriously, and it's okay if they don't look at you in the eyes, and if you're uncomfortable, I tell them pick a part of the face to look at. Look at their chin, look at their ear, just as if you're interested, because then your message will portray a lot better. And so a lot of kids come in and their eyes are down all
Hmm.
the time. And because they're shy or because they're nervous or they're scared. So that's already body language. And one of the things that I do in order to communicate with a child, I'm 6'1", they're 2'2". So I don't, all of a sudden they're looking up at me and they're like, man, that guy's a giant. So immediately, anytime I meet someone who's that much shorter than I am, I get down. So I go eye level This way, I can see them, they can see me, and they don't have to strain their neck, if you will. So I think that it is a part where you can have eye contact with somebody until you make them uncomfortable,
Right. That's what
right?
I was going to go with next.
Yeah, yeah.
Is it can feel aggressive sometimes.
Mhm,
And you see that with animals. Actually, making eye contact with animals is sometimes not a great thing to do.
mhm.
When dogs greet each other, they actually stand sideways to each other most of the time because it's a comfortable way for them to be introduced. So eye contact is great as long as you don't overdo it.
Yeah, yeah. So here's Susan. She said, when I spent time in Paris, one of the things that was not noticed was my observation of the French sitting at the table enjoying a meal and the absence of cell phones. Not one was present because they chose to be present with each other, which is,
Nice.
I agree 100%. So I found this to be very refreshing. And to me, when we even think about the communication, some people, let me tell you, the phones have made a difference in the way we communicate. The fact that people are driving and texting,
Mhm.
it means that they're not present.
Yeah.
They're trying to make that connection and in their mind, they're like, I gotta answer this text. Meanwhile, it's like, no, you gotta drive so you don't kill yourself or someone
Yeah.
else.
Or me.
So thank you, Susan. It's definitely refreshing when and one of the things I love doing, and you know, you and I have had several conversations, is really being present when we are talking to someone. So some eye contact, not constant, like right now, I'm not looking at you, but now I am. So it's that figuring it out, making it so it's comfortable so that you're not making the other person comfortable. Recently, I sat with somebody and literally the whole time they talked to me, it was like this. And their eyes were wide open and it's like almost not blinking. I was like, oh my gosh, are they trying to look into my soul? What are they doing? And it was really interesting.
you
But
know,
it also showed me they were very interested in what I had to say.
yeah.
So it was like, how do you get to the comfortable, uncomfortable stage with that type of communication?
If I sit down at a table with one other person, my preference is to sit 90 degrees to them,
Mm,
because then not making eye contact isn't uncomfortable. It's
right.
not like I'm avoiding you, but it's also easy enough to make eye contact. So then you have the choice, and I find it more comfortable.
Yeah, yeah. So one of the things that, everybody knows as a public speaker or anybody who's talking to a crowd that I was teaching my SWAT team this past summer on public speaking and where to look, how to get comfortable. A lot of them were extremely nervous. Their hands were fidgeting all over. Body language was turned off. And I said, relax. It's your story. Nobody can tell your story better than you. And at that point, they started to relax. And I said, listen, it's you all have an amazing story. Just tell your story. And then one of the guys, because I said, you kind of have to look at the audience. I said, but you don't have to make eye contact with every single individual. You can look at one person, two people, maybe three people, and go back and forth. So you look like you're really engaging with everybody. And then one of the things he did is he's looking above everybody. And because we practice, right? So I said, wait a minute, where are you looking? He goes, I'm looking above everybody. And I'm like, why? Because I'm telling my story. And I said, but your story is not hitting home because you're not making a connection. I said, you don't have to be uncomfortable, but you do have to, at least for count it out 10 seconds, look into somebody's eyes and then look away and then look at somebody else. But this way you become more comfortable. And actually, when he did his actual speech, he did that. And
Nice.
he was a lot better. Don't get me wrong, he was still nervous.
Yeah.
But for him to be able to, this is a person that is totally, I would say, shut down when it came to speaking,
Hmm.
even to on one. It's like you had to pull. And now here he is giving a whole speech to a ton of people, and he did a great job. But
Nice.
it was that training that allowed him to understand that your story, your message is important.
And the audience wants you to do well.
Oh yeah.
The audience is willing to look past a lot of small errors
Mm,
because they want you to succeed. They want you to succeed up there.
hmm.
They're interested in and they want you to do well. So remembering that helps as well.
Oh, it does. It does. What's one of your big takeaways from communication? Because you have trained hundreds and hundreds of people in different aspects of business. What's one of your biggest takeaways that you would say that people are still not doing?
Um, Active listening is something that I'll talk about over and over again.
Mm,
And one thing that seems to help people do it well is telling stories back. So I always have people ask questions to make sure they understand what the other person said, but it can sound kind of aggressive if
mm,
you tell me something. I say, "Oh, so do you mean blah blah
yeah,
blah?" If instead you can turn around and relay one of your own stories that matches that, then it's pulling people into sync, into alignment, and it's showing that you actually do really understand, or they can tell you that that's not really the same thing, it's a little bit different. But
mm,
it's kind of a softer, gentler way to ask and make sure that you're both understanding the same thing.
yeah. Beautiful, beautiful. Well, you listen, thank you so much for being here. One of the things I definitely want to share with you and everyone else is that in June, I'm having a big event here in New York, and I want everybody to come. We're going to have an amazing, amazing time. And I definitely want to talk to you more about that. So, any last tips that you can tell anybody before we head off?
I really liked the thing about no cell phones at the dinner table. And I'll tell you, I lived in Italy for a year, and one major adjustment when I would go out to eat is in America, we want things very fast,
Mm,
and we are basically rushing it. And it took me months to get used to just accepting the meal is going to be an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then settling into it and really communicating and really enjoying the time together rather than rushing through it and seeing what we can do next.
yeah, yeah. It's listen, if you're sitting there by yourself, yeah, an hour and a half wait is going to be a long time. But if you're
Mhm.
sitting there with company, you can enjoy them. You can really get to know them a little bit better, and being intentional with your time. If you
Mhm.
know you're going to a restaurant, you don't want to rush it anyway, right? You want to enjoy the meal. You want to enjoy the company.
Yep.
Otherwise, you wouldn't go to the restaurant,
Yeah, you
right?
shouldn't be there if you're not going to.
Great. Thank you so much. I really appreciate great tips today. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you for having me. Have a great
Uh,
day.
my pleasure. You too. Bye bye,
Bye.
everybody.